Rose-mah Mansor, the former First Lady of Malaysia. The wife of a prime minister who, at one point, became richer than the country's own monarchs. She is accused of controlling her husband through shamans and black magic. But one day her fairy tale came to an end, and the family lost everything. When police came to their home, what they found inside shocked not just Malaysia but the entire world. And this story still isn't over. How did the daughter of two ordinary schoolteachers become the most hated woman in the country? What exactly did the police find inside her homes during the searches? How are the current King of Malaysia and the royal family of Pahang connected to this story? And why, even after a 10-year sentence, is the former First Lady still walking free? This story will genuinely surprise you. You may have seen the film The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, a Hollywood blockbuster about greed, luxury, and impunity, nominated for 5 Oscars. But almost no one knows one detail. More than $100 million of that film's budget was siphoned out of a Malaysian state fund, and the producer was Rose-mah Mansor's own son. And this is no longer just the story of a prime minister's wife. This is the story of a family that reached all the way to Hollywood. But The Wolf of Wall Street is only a small detail in the story of Rose-mah Mansor. Rose-mah was born in 1951 in the small town of Kuala Pilah. Both of her parents were school teachers. The family was modest, but Rose-mah understood one thing early on. Education was a ticket to the top. She enrolled at Tunku Kersia College, an elite girls' boarding school where the daughters of Malaysia's aristocracy studied. Then came the University of Malaya and a degree in sociology, and after that, a master's degree in America at Louisiana State University. For the daughter of provincial teachers, it was an impressive path. But her first husband, he's like a ghost in this story. A businessman and a politician, 2 children, a divorce, and almost no details at all. If you search for Rose-mah's first husband, what comes up is a photo of her second husband, Najib, as if the first had never existed. In 1987, Rose-mah married Najib Razak. He was 34 and already held a ministerial post. And, more importantly, he was the son of the country's second prime minister and the heir to an entire political dynasty. And the higher her husband climbed, from minister to deputy prime minister, the faster her appetites grew. She appeared in public in outfits by Chanel and Dior, and her hairstyle, tall, impeccably styled, became her trademark. In Malaysia, people joked that you might not recognize the Prime Minister's face, but everyone knew Rose-mah's hair. And then, in 2009, Najib became Prime Minister, and Rose-mah became the First Lady of Malaysia. That is the moment when everything started to go wrong. By law, she held no power at all. She had no office, no title, no authority, but prosecutors would later say it plainly. Rose-mah's domineering nature allowed her to exert influence over her husband's government. Businessmen quickly learned the rule. If you wanted a government contract, don't waste time on the ministers. Go to Rose-mah. One investigative journalist would later write, she wasn't just a wife, she was a second center of decision-making in the country. But how exactly did she do it? This is where the story turns truly strange. A businessman named Deepak Jaikishan was close to the family for many years. When the relationship fell apart, he started talking, and what he said stunned Malaysia. According to him, Rose-mah was obsessed with black magic. She would invite shamans, known in Malay as bomoh, from different states across Malaysia and even from India. Deepak claimed that rituals were held at the official residence of the Prime Minister, that a statue was installed there, one they worshipped in order to hold on to power. Deepak claimed that Rose-mah placed curses on her husband's political rivals, and on Najib himself, to keep him obedient and unquestioning. Sounds unbelievable? Perhaps. But the fact remains that neither Najib nor Rose-mah ever once sued Deepak over these accusations. And yet, in 2025, Rose-mah sued a TikToker who repeated the very same accusations and won 100,000 ringgit. So it turns out you can sue a random blogger, but not the man who knew the family from the inside. Over the years, something strange began to happen to Rose-mah's face. People could see it. In photographs from the 80s, a beautiful woman, lively eyes, soft features. But with each passing year, the woman who appeared in public looked less and less like herself. The skin pulled tight, the cheeks puffed out, the face frozen into a mask that seemed to have forgotten how to move. Rumors of plastic surgery began to spread. Rose-mah denied all of it. No operations, no procedures, nothing but good genes and good skincare. She repeated this for years. And then her own daughter let it slip. In her post, Azrin wrote out loud what the whole country had only been whispering, that for years, one after another, cosmetic specialists had been coming to her mother's home. After that, there was nothing left to deny. Soon, a Singaporean plastic surgeon weighed in after studying her photos. His verdict was merciless. Too much filler, an implant in the nose, Botox in doses so high that the muscles of her face were effectively paralyzed. A living example of how not to do it. The youth she was chasing was something no amount of millions could buy. Rose-mah treated her own face exactly the way she treated everything else. For her, it was never enough. Let's get back to the money, because the money is where the end began. In 2009, right after coming to power, Najib created a state investment fund. Officially, it was meant to develop Malaysia's economy. In reality, it became the vehicle for one of the biggest heists in history. According to the United States Department of Justice, $4.5 billion was stolen from the fund. Where did the money go? Partly to a yacht worth $250 million, to a $33 million apartment in New York, to a collection of paintings, including a Monet and a Van Gogh. And here the story becomes almost absurd. The stolen money went to finance the Hollywood film The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, a film about greed and financial fraud paid for with stolen money. The film's producer was Riza Aziz, Rose-mah's son from her first marriage. According to the FBI, $248 million stolen from that same investment fund flowed into the accounts of his company, Red Granite Pictures. Besides The Wolf of Wall Street, 2 more Hollywood films were made with that money. The First Lady's son was financing Hollywood with his own country's money. And Rose-mah? According to a lawsuit filed by the fund itself, she personally spent $346 million on jewelry and handbags through 48 vendors in 14 countries around the world. At the same time, she was paying $22,000 a month to a team of propagandists who deleted negative comments about her from the internet. Malaysians were angry for years. They watched the Prime Minister's wife spend more on a single shopping trip than the average citizen earns in an entire lifetime. The famous cartoonist Zuna drew satirical pictures featuring Birkin bags, and it was his drawings, not the financial reports, that finally made the scale of the corruption clear to ordinary people. He was charged with sedition, and then, in a single day, everything collapsed. On the 9th of May 2018, Najib lost the election. For the first time in 61 years, the ruling coalition lost power. The new Prime Minister was 92-year-old Mahathir Mohamad, a man who had already led the country before and came back specifically to stop Najib and Rose-mah. The first thing Mahathir did was ban Najib and Rose-mah from leaving the country. Just in time. Barely 3 days after the defeat, their names turned up on the passenger list of a private jet to Jakarta. They were pulled off the flight. Then the searches began. And this is where the world saw something that left people speechless. Police searched 6 properties. From one apartment alone, they removed 284 boxes of designer handbags, loaded into 5 police trucks, 72 suitcases of cash in various currencies. When everything was counted, the result was this: 567 handbags, of which 272 were Hermes Birkins, 423 watches, 234 pairs of sunglasses, 12,000 pieces of jewelry, including a necklace worth $1.5 million, and 14 tiaras. The total value, more than $250 million, for a woman whose husband officially earned $9,000 a month. When asked where it all came from, Rose-mah answered, "I've been saving since childhood." Malaysia didn't believe her, and neither did the court.
蓝色的街灯明灭在街头，独自对窗凝望月色，星星在闪耀。我在流泪，我在流泪，没人知道我。
谁在唱呀？
远处轻轻传来，
想念你的，想念你的，
我爱唱的那一首歌。
白色的毛衣遗留我身边，
抱入怀里，传来安详，此心已破碎。
我在流泪，我在流泪，没人知道我。
谁在唱呀？
远处轻轻传来，
想念你的，
想念你的，
我爱唱的那一首歌。你我的回忆该是两相同，
咫尺天涯，为何不见此生已憔悴？
我在流泪，
我在流泪，没人知道我。
谁在唱呀？
远处轻轻传来，
想念你的，
想念你的，
我爱唱